What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And we got a new background today if you're seeing us on video because we touched down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Really excited, being just firing amazing content on our Instagram. If you haven't followed us there, make sure you do, at colossusfit. But we're really fired up. It's nice having some sun, some motivation, and we're motivated, and that works out perfectly for Motivation Monday today. So we got a killer episode planned, lots on our mind, lots of killer questions, really exciting client shouted as well. So we're going to jump into it as we always do with our primary question. So the first question I got was, how can I overcome an ACL tear? This feels hopeless. So this question really hit with me. Obviously, I mentioned now 2.5 weeks ago, I dislocated my shoulder. Thankfully, I didn't tear anything. So, well, I did tear something, but nothing, no like rotator cuff or slap tear or anything like that. But when you dislocate your shoulder, it does rip a lot of different muscle or tendons. There always will be something going on with that. And it was really demotivating because I couldn't even move my arm right. I couldn't navigate it correctly. And it is quite upsetting. And this is something I've received from my clients a lot. Just this component of like getting sick or getting hurt and then just feeling like so hopeless, maybe depressed, really not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, not being motivated to do frankly anything. And it was funny, I saw a meme that really resonated with me. It was just like how you look back on life when you weren't sick while you're sick. And it was just like sunshine, like unicorns, just like happy living. It was so funny because I thought it was so applicable. Like when you're sick, all you want is to be healthy. And that's why there's that quote, the sick man, all he wants is health, right? Whereas the healthy man, he wants money, he wants success, all these different things, right? So it's a good reminder how important our health is. So with this, I think this question in general, I've never had an ACL tear. I've heard this is absolutely horrible. And I know this one in particular is very tough. So anything ACL, anything with your knee, anything with your shoulder, these are all pretty significant. And I think one quote I always like that's really been helpful for me is, we break, we heal. Like that's the way we are as humans. And I think it's a good reminder, especially when I'm sick, it feels like the world's falling down. I'll get man cold, be a bit of a baby, but it's a good reminder. I've been sick before, I've gotten through it. And going back for me, I mentioned I had my hernia surgery 5 years ago, I suppose now. And in the moment, I was reading all this stuff about how I'll never be the same. You'll never be able to lift heavy, yada yada, all these crazy different things, and it was really demotivating. It was really scary, and I had to wait for my surgery, and I knew that surgery would really inhibit my lifting. And like I've gone my whole 10, 14 years, whatever it's been, of lifting without missing a week. I've always made a point to get in the gym to be successful. And that was really scary to me, having a surgery and having that pop up. So regardless, what I'm getting at is I got through that. I don't even recognize, like I wouldn't even remember I have a hernia at this point, which I'm so proud to say. I'm strong. It doesn't scare me. It never burns. And with this shoulder, my goal is very much to be the same. And it's funny because Kyle actually dislocated his shoulder differently. And there's obviously different severity of these things, but it's funny because he's like, I don't even remember which shoulder it was, which is absolutely awesome. So just remember, no matter what happens, there is hope. And a couple things I wanted to mention on for this question is that life is seasons. So it'll be highs and lows, and it's natural for these things to pop up. Illnesses, surgeries, injuries, like these things are guaranteed to occur. They're not fun. They suck. We can do a lot to prevent them, but sometimes it's just dumb luck and it's really uncomfortable. And it's good to have that reality check to say, hey, I will get through this. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and don't be doomsday about it. Don't let yourself fall into that trap of like, oh, it's not going to be the same. What do I care anymore? And just start eating food, not moving, not taking it seriously. Instead, it's like, what positives can I find from this? What opportunities are there? I saw another dude at the gym, really jack guy, working on a sling. And I'm like, hey man, what happened? And I was curious if he had the same injury. But he said he actually tore his pec. And I've heard that is one of the most painful things ever. I always have a fear of pec, bicep. These are very, very painful injuries. And he said he took it right off the bone. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's way worse than I have. But he's like, I'd rather my upper because it's harder to be motivated to train legs and build legs. So he's just hitting legs hard. He's like, it is what it is. It's in the off season. And I think that mindset's so good. Instead of him just throwing away everything he's done, he's still in there. So even with your ACL, like you absolutely can overcome it. And I like when I get hurt, any injury, anything, the hernia, I give the same tips to all my clients. And that is to what can you control and what can you do better? So For me, with my shoulder, I can eat better than ever. I have the opportunity to maximize my nutrition, maybe start cooking more, double down my protein, which we know is regenerative, continue with my supplementation, really get amazing, phenomenal rest, really focus on the quality and intensity of my sleep, really make sure I'm getting lots of cardio and walks, training my legs really hard, and then most importantly, doing your case-specific physio, because what's tough is when you're hurt, you want to do nothing, but movement, motion is lotion, as we like to say, and moving it, putting in compromised positions intelligently and safely is how you can recover faster. And there's a reason all these athletes will get these life-changing, altering, horrible injuries and be able to come past them. And I'm sure there is some other drug component in there, but in general, they have an amazing physio team, they have care, they have people pushing them, and they have a goal. They need to get back to their sport or they don't get paid. So for you, I really recommend setting small goals, set little things like next week, I want to be able to lift with Kyle, just go through the movements. Doesn't need to be the heaviest weights in the world. I got my leg days to full intensity. Slowly upping my weights on the upper machines I can do. I've been working on my mobility. The physio I was working with gave me different milestones. And when I hit those milestones, I'd unlock that next thing. So I'd lock the band. I'd unlock like a more challenging movement with my arm, eventually getting to weights and then increasing it. So if you can stack these small wins, look towards the end of the tunnel and just put in that work, understand some days will be better than others. You'll be fine for anything that pops up. And understanding that these things do pass, whether it be physical or emotional, because I know a lot of people will struggle with like breakups or they'll struggle with people passing. And like, I always like to remember, it's like, how can you still take care of yourself as intelligently as possible? And even for me, like it's been harder to pick up my kids or do the things I want to do. And to me, that's very motivating to be like, oh, I need to get back to be able to do these things I love, like just fun little day-to-day activities. So I know that was quite a big ramble, if you will. But like I said, even with the hernia, I had that mindset, and they said it could be like 3 to 6 months. I remember I was pretty much 100 after like 5-6 weeks. With this, I'm definitely ahead of schedule, which I'm really proud of. And I think like most things, if you put in the work, you'll get the reward.
Even working off of that, it's a good reminder that perspective really is everything. So even like Josh said, like the healthy person, or sorry, the sick person, the only thing they want is to be healthy. And I would say whatever it is that you've ever gone through, like try to keep that as like a core memory. So whenever there's those days where you don't want to do something, it just sticks in the top of your head because it's going to push you. So even myself, as I'm sitting here thinking about how much I dislike leg day, which I'll talk about afterwards, I look back to the times where I had an injured groin, or even when I had my motorcycle accident, which took out my shoulder, so it was dislocated, but then my knee was completely banged up, so I couldn't do upper body, or I couldn't do lower body, which just absolutely sucked. So looking back on that, I just remember sitting there just wishing I could go to the gym, thinking about how grateful I am to be able to move and to be healthy. So you can use that as like good motivation afterwards. And I know it's easy to forget about that type of stuff and just take it all for granted, as a lot of us often do. But I just think like there's so much that can be done. And I think even anytime I'm sick, I just use as an example, I try to think, okay, well, maybe I could read a little bit of extra of my book. That's something I've been putting off a little bit. Maybe I can, even mobility, something it's easy to skip out on. Maybe yoga for some people. Like you can always do something. And it's just a reminder that so many people try to get rid of absolutely everything when the challenge comes in front of them. And then that's how they just never work out again. That's how they never eat healthy again. When something goes wrong, they just completely forget about the journey because they're like, well, there's this obstacle, I just got to stop. Whereas even Josh was sharing on the story on Instagram the other day, like when there's an obstacle, are you going to climb up it? Are you going to go around it? Are you going to try to break it down so you can go through it? Like that's just the reality, and it sucks, but everything does happen for a reason. And to be honest, it could have taught us something. Like even my motorcycle, I look back and it's easy to be like, blame everything around me. But it's like, maybe I could have done a better job learning, or maybe I should have not grabbed my front brake too much, or whatever the case is. So it's hard for a lot of us to accept, but yeah, just something to remember when stuff like this does happen.
Yeah, and as corny as it is, people say like little things like, oh, at least it wasn't your good arm. And as silly as it is, it's actually a true thing. Like it's amazing to me how much more inconvenient that would be. And Kyle's point of perspective was so good when I was in the hospital meeting the surgeon just to make sure everything was okay and I didn't need surgery. When I was leaving and I was just like waiting for a ride home, I saw a guy in there with no legs. And I'm like, okay, like what do I have to complain about? And then when I was in the hospital in pain with it, I'm like, at least my knee isn't cut up like Kyle's was. Like it's funny, like these little things, but I think obviously everyone has different situations, but just understand these things will pop up. They're things you can absolutely get through. And even I thought it was a good reminder of how much worse it could be. No bones were broken. And even though in those moments, whatever happens to you could seem like the worst thing in the world, most often there's something you can do, an area you can improve. You can use it as a season, like Kyle said, to increase your learning, to bang out some work, to actually take some time to rest. So just changing that silver lining and removing that like just entire doomsday gloomy thing, like pulling yourself out of that will be so powerful. And one thing I love helping my clients with, like I just had my client Dominique had a knee surgery. It's been great seeing her transition and get through that and keeping that higher level mindset of like, well, why would I just throw away progress because I have this thing that's already inhibiting progress? It's like, what can I do? I have another client who had a cancer scare, and thank goodness it was just a scare. But even with her, I was so proud of her because even when she was in that position of uncertainty, she's like, I still want to take care of myself. Health is still a priority and I want to feel my best. And this just reiterates how important it is for me to be healthy during this time. And like, I just love that because it's just so much easier to be like, oh, I'm so scared. This is horrible. What do I care anymore? I'm just going to eat what I want, drink what I want, do what I want, not take care of myself. But you just end up punishing yourself worse for it. And it's a good reminder too, even me, I've worked hard to have really healthy shoulders. I've worked hard to have a good muscle base, to have good bone density. And that work probably saved me from more issues. So I think it's just a great reminder, the importance of staying healthy, the importance of having a positive mindset, and most importantly, the importance of having accountability, someone there to push you and help you actually be reasonable, stay on track, and put things in perspective. But that was the first question. I hope that was helpful. Once again, I can't get too into the weeds about specific movements for ACLs and stuff, but I do find like really learning what you need to be doing and doing it consistently, pushing yourself intelligently, listening to your body. These are all general things outside of everything else I mentioned, but this is a good umbrella for anything that can pop up in life. But that's what we had for that. Now we're going to jump into our quotes because we love quotes. They fire us up. They get us motivated. So what do you got, Kyle?
So every Wednesday when we film this, it's leg day. And as I was saying before, sometimes it's a bit tougher for me to get in the mindset. And let's get real, like it's just easier to pump up your biceps, to hit some bench press, and leg day really tests you. But my quote for today is, don't let leg day be a burden. Let it be a challenge you conquer. So I love this quote because it's like, yeah, for a lot of people, it really is a challenge. And Josh had such a great Reels idea today of like how easy it is to just start cheating yourself. And we're going to make sure that that's posted by the time this episode's out. So make sure to follow us on Colossus Fitness, COLOSSUSFIT, Colossus Fit on Instagram. And so I even caught myself a few times, like I was holding on to the hip thrust machine a bit, making it easier. Sometimes people will do a leg press and make it easier. People will do half reps and quarter reps and, just a lot of different things you'll see in that Reels. But the point is that like on a day like today, it really tests you. Like, especially for some people, obviously, let's just use guys as an example, like legs can be a bit more challenging. And I know sometimes it's the other way around for females. They don't want to get in there and do upper body as much, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to push myself here. Like each rep, like I want to do the absolute most. And even as we've switched, like before we would do a leg day and a shoulder day, like kind of combined, and it was a great split. And so Josh has not been doing the shoulders, so we've been just doing straight leg day. And there was a part of me that was going to say, you know what? I'll meet it back up with you for a bit. I'm just going to do a bit of shoulders as well. But I'm like, you know what? Like, let's do the full thing and just do it to the best of my ability. And like, it just feels so good to know that you put in that work and you did something you didn't want to do. So yeah, I'm just motivated from that. It was a great workout. There's no better feeling than, hitting a killer leg day. And yeah, it's just what separates, I think, the best from the rest, in my personal opinion. So just remember that on your next leg day or the next workout that you're not wanting to do.
Yeah, I just love getting it done and the challenge around it. And it's been fun doing 3 days a week, pretty intense. And I'm like, hey, there's a chance to blow up the legs, blow up the calves. So that was very well said. My quote's a simple one, but it was one that really took me back. And it's, the clock is ticking. Are you becoming the person you want to be? I think I'm just reminded of this constantly, just seeing the amount of energy my toddler has in particular, how demanding and how like exciting it is, how much he likes to do. And I'm like, wow, like, and once again, too, as we're pushing 30 here, we're still very young, but it's interesting, even having friends, as we mentioned before, I'd be like, I can't do that because I want to get hurt. Even me with this injury, it starts to get a little bit more real as you get older. Like you're a little bit less spongy, but like, it's like, oh man, like fitness is so important. And naturally, as my body gets worse, like it's going to make less hormones, it's going to be more challenging, I'm going to have maybe less energy, like coming out of your prime. It's a great reminder. It's like, how can I fight that? How can I still be getting stronger, be getting better, still improving, not getting complacent in my journey? And I think it's just a great reminder of that, because it's so easy to think you have infinite time to be in shape, to live how you want. And it's like, why wouldn't you spend every second being at a level of fitness and health where you want to be? And if you put that off and you keep letting everything get in front of it, school, relationships, a busy job, a busy schedule, like it just, you're never going to catch up. And it's so much harder to catch up when you're behind. Not that it's a race, but like if I give Kyle a whole massive head start and I go, let's go on a sprinting race for 10 seconds and he's got a 5-second head start, I could be Usain Bolt and I'm not going to beat him. So it's a great reminder too, to like make fitness and health a priority now. And obviously to an extent you're doing that with this, but maybe you need to call yourself out and get a little bit more real with getting in the gym, eating healthier, tracking your food, setting more goals, getting accountability through a coach. And I just think it's such a great reminder of that. And even with an injury, it's a reminder for me with my goals and how things are balanced and where I want to be and when I feel the best and when I'm in the best rhythm by being on top of my journey. And I think that's a good segue into where we're at in our journey. So obviously being in Florida is great motivation. I think it's probably my favorite gym in the world, Powerhouse Fort Lauderdale. Shout out to them. I really, really do like that gym and it's great motivation in there. Obviously it sucks like not being able to come in with the same upper intensity I'd like to, but I'm aiming to in the next coming weeks. And I think there's just a ton of really good food here. We obviously utilize a lot of Chipotle. So I'm at a point where I'm at like a level of leanness I'm pretty happy with, but I can always improve upon that. So I'm in like a maintenance phase, and I'm in a maintenance phase because I don't want to go losing a ton of weight. So some people will just do excessive cardio when they get inhibited from lifting. They'll be scared to come back to lifting. And the problem with that is you really will lose a lot of muscle because you're not lifting the same. And I want to mitigate the loss of upper body muscle as much as possible, because I didn't do upper for two weeks just about. And now I'm still doing it very light, very high rep, doing what I can, but keeping a pump to once again mitigate that muscle loss. I'm maintaining a higher protein. I'm being mindful of my cardio. And now my goal obviously will be to really kind of build out of that and really just make sure I am minimizing that loss. So if you have a goal to not lose a ton of muscle during these times, it's really important you are aware of these things and you're doing the right nutritional goal. And just the same, if you're hurt, you shouldn't be in a surplus of calories. Just because you're bored, just because you're sad, doesn't mean you should just be eating a bunch of food, because then you're going to put on a bunch of fat you don't want. It's going to be harder to recover. You're going to feel worse. You're going to be more lethargic, more slothy. So I think that's where you need to be really aware. So I got my calories right, point blank, 3,000. For me, that's just a little below maintenance, and that's where I feel pretty comfortable. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, for me, I'm just, I'm in a bit of a slow shred. I felt like I was kind of not taking it as seriously for the first little bit. I was losing just over a pound per week, but now I just want to kind of just get it done with, to be honest. Like, I think there's so many different ways to reach your goal, and it's really a matter of like what works best for you. And like Josh was saying, there are a lot of things to consider, like when it comes to, even an injury, like how do I approach this? Like, if I'm traveling, should I, maybe go into a maintenance? Should I go into a surplus? Should I just go all in on the cut to get ready for it? But, here in Florida, I'm moving so much more. Like every day it's like 13,000 plus steps, which is awesome. So, I feel like even though there's a lot of good food, I can still incorporate that, and I've been having my daily Chipotle, but to me, I don't get that excited. Like, there's obviously the odd pizza place here that's like so exciting that I'm like looking forward to as a treat like weeks down the road. But I think if I just have my staples every day, try to avoid snacking aside from the odd Quest chips we bought and then Fairlife shakes we bought, that should be no problem. Get me down about 5 to 7, maybe 8 pounds by the end of all this. And I was originally planning on just not shredding while I'm here, but I just think it's such a good spot to. And, because I took it a little bit easier at the very beginning, now I kind of have to make up for that, which, hey, no problem at all. I'll still make it work. But that's been super exciting. And even for the workouts, I feel like, even Josh had a good point. He's like, hey, if you don't reach a certain amount of calories you burn here on an upper body day, you're going to do more leg days. And I was like, this is motivation. Like yesterday I got in there, absolutely crushed it. And I just think like, it's sometimes hard to feel uncomfortable. Like even myself, I start to ask myself at the end of a set, am I stopping because I'm starting to experience that bit of discomfort, I guess? Or am I actually like at my peak here? Like, can I do no more? And I've noticed that for a lot of things, I don't like that uncomfortable feeling. Even on some squat movements today, I was like, at a point where I would just stop because it started to really burn, but I'm like, I can still do a few more reps. Not that I'm training exactly to failure. So I think here it's just going all in. We have an amazing gym. We have a great setup. We're barbecuing every night, like just going all in on that. And that's what I've been focused on. I'm excited to keep getting better week by week as we're here in Florida.
Yeah, Florida is usually about 2 months or so that we're here, and a lot of people are kind of suffering the winter, but obviously it's good motivation. So I always like to use these times as like focused little bursts where I give it even more intensity, more focus, and really building a strong package. In the past, we've come down earlier, so it's kind of coincided with our challenges, and it's been really fun shredding here, but really excited even for me to have that opportunity to regain my strength, rebuild my muscle, work my way back to utilizing free weights and all those great things. So always good to see too, like what's in front of you, and maybe adjusting your schedule to be more intense or less intense, and really make sure you're being realistic with what's around you. And that's one thing I'm really big on with my coaching clients, is like making sure we're doing things at the right times in the right season. So, and speaking of that, we actually have an amazing client shout out that we're really pumped to talk about. So who do we have?
So this week we have Josie, and she crushed it in her coaching program. She lost over 30 pounds, and she had tried everything. You know, she tried Herbalife, she tried all these different fad diets, and what happens to most people when they do these specific things is, yes, they lose a little bit of weight up front, but they end up gaining a lot back, and they really burn a hole in their pocket as well, just buying all these supplements and all these detox type diets and Herbalife and all that stuff. So she wanted something realistic, and she just crushed it with us, and she's maintained all her weight loss, and she's still progressing, which is super important. And even before she came to us, she had a really toxic relationship with food. She had to heal through that and just be able to find ways to even still incorporate her fun foods. And that's where some people struggle, is they have such a negative effect, like in terms of thinking of all these foods, like I can't have it, then they binge eat, and it's just this really bad yo-yo dieting cycle. So we couldn't be more proud of Josie for all the work she's done. And even recently she started a TikTok, which is pretty cool, and she just started promoting our stuff, which is awesome. Like, we didn't ask anything of her to do that. She just wanted to share her experience. So I'll link that down below, and she even had been sending some people over recently, which is really, really cool, because it makes my day to see someone who was struggling so much to finally be able to succeed, and even having some of her friends and followers and stuff come on board with us as well. So, you know, we're looking to help a few people on their journey who want to just finally stop struggling and just not have to try every new diet and just consistently go up and down, up and down. And if this sounds like something for you, just message us with the keyword fat loss to our Instagram at colossusfit, COLOSSUSFIT. I promise this will be the last diet you ever need, the last coach you ever need, because we will set you up and we guarantee our results, so there's no risk involved. So proud of you, and we can't wait to help some more of you awesome listeners.
Yeah, don't be that person who's drowning when we're trying to give you like a floaty to help you. It's very easy just to put this off, and perhaps you've tried before, like Josie, you've tried everything, you've gone all in on a different program, a different style, and maybe you're starting to wonder, like, am I the problem? Like, maybe this doesn't work for me, or I'm just not meant to be fit. Like, that's not the case at all. And we actually, like, I started all this because I found fitness easy. It's something I understood. It's something I self-executed, and I would hear people struggling, and I'd be like, you don't need to struggle. Like, there's a way to do it. There's a reason I hire an accountant to do my taxes, because I'll struggle, I'll be infuriated, things aren't going to make sense, I'm going to waste time. And that's where, when you have that higher level mindset of saying, like, I don't need to struggle, I can have someone on my side who's going to hold me accountable and show me how to do this for life. All the time people will say, well, what makes your coaching different? I bought other programs, and I let people know it's the customization, the one-on-one aspect of it. You're sending videos with me back and forth. I'm checking in on you during the week. I'm watching your form. I'm making a program specifically for that local gym you have access to, and the history you have of having a bad right knee, and helping you improve that while helping you put on muscle. So no matter what you have going on, or the weird hours you have to work with, I can work with you to make that happen. Because it's such a bespoke program, it's just not some cheap $100, $200 program where I'm just going to send you stuff and say sayonara and wish you the best. Those are the programs that you're hurting yourself with, because you think you're doing that smart thing. You're getting an investment, you think you're saving money, but you're not actually having someone help you execute through that. That's like me watching a tutorial on how to do my taxes. When it comes down to it, I'm not going to put in that work. So if you're struggling over and over, and you're just not feeling proud of yourself, and you're going in the wrong direction, and you hate how your clothes fit and the way your stomach hangs out in photos, or you're getting a double chin, like, all these things can be so easily fixed, and you can really learn to make fitness part of your lifestyle. I can say that with such confidence because because we have 4,500 people that have undergone this program that have transformed with us. And like, that is my biggest accomplishment in fitness, and even bigger than this podcast. It's been so amazing to like get our hands and learn your situation, learn what you're struggling with, and help rectify that so you can see lasting change. And like I said, because of that, it's a one-on-one coaching program where you're guaranteed to see results. So it's not a cheap program. It's an affordable program. It's absolutely worth it. My goal and Kyle's goal is any dollar someone gives us, we want to give them 10 times the value they're seeing back. So we want this to be the last program you ever need. If you're sick of paying trainers and paying Herbalife and paying all these little programs and wasting money, come to us, let us fix it for you. I'm so passionate about this. Once again, I would love to help you one-on-one. If you want to learn how you can work with me and actually want to talk through more about what my program's about, DM me on Instagram, the keyword fat loss at colossusfit, COLOSSUSFIT, and I will take great care of you. But now we're going to jump into our second question, and that is, does fruit make you fat? I overheard a trainer telling his client you shouldn't eat any fruit. And it's funny because I've actually heard this myself. I've heard of some really funky trainers who cut out carrots. You can't have carrots. You can only have broccoli and like certain other vegetables they like. And this is just such a mistake, because demonizing any food, like Kyle said, when the second I tell someone not to do something, even like with a toddler, I say, don't do this one thing, they're drawn to it. They want to do it. And with food, when we hyperfixate on certain foods and we're like, I'm never eating pizza again, but it's your favorite food, that's just so unrealistic and you're destined to fail. And it's just so silly making certain things as good and bad. And that's how, frankly, you'll develop an eating disorder. It's not going to be realistic. You're going to see success for a period of time. And then when you exit that program, you're going to gain that all back and or more. And perhaps that's something that's happened to you. So fruit by no means makes you fat. And a lot of people will think, this question's silly. Like, I think most people are aware it doesn't, but most people would agree that sugar will make you fat. And like, sugar doesn't even necessarily make you fat. I could easily have 300 grams of sugar a day and still maintain a very lean physique. Is that healthy for me? Absolutely not. I don't need to be having that much, but a reasonable amount of sugar in moderation is absolutely okay, and it has a purpose. And for some people, athletes, they can absolutely get away with doing that. We mentioned DJ Metcalf and his candies. Sugar is just a very simple form of calories, and it's going to burn really quickly. So it's not going to sate you. You're going to run through it really quick. It's not going to have as much nutritional value as something with fiber and more micronutrients within it. And because of that, it's going to lead you to being more full. You're going to be able to eat more of it. It's going to sate you less. And usually that's going to put you in a caloric surplus. And that is what's going to cause you to gain fat. So it's a real big oversimplification to say don't eat fruit. I think fruit is phenomenal and has a lot of benefits. I'm obviously aware of how much I have of it, because if I had endless amounts of fruit because it's sweet, because it has sugar, I would go over my calorie goals. Because like pineapple, I could easily eat 600 calories of pineapple, no issue at all. However, I would still rather someone do that than 600 calories of a chocolate bar, which is even more like just simple basic calories, more engineered to be even tastier, and will sate you even less than that. At least fruit a lot of the time does have fiber. It will have other nutrients in it, vitamin C, D, all these great things. So fruit you can absolutely work in, and that's why in general we like the 80-20 rule. I would still bulk put this as part of your 80%, a reasonable amount of fruit. If you want to have an apple, some oranges, whatever. But if you want to get really exotic and have an excessive amount of fruit, that's where I'd start to look at it as more of like that 20% fun food, because I'm having a further amount of it. And you just need to make sure it fits within your daily calorie goals. Are you still hitting your protein? Are you still hitting your calories? Are you eating within reason? And as long as you're doing that, it's not going to be the end of the world. Obviously, having ridiculous amounts of sugars can put you at risk for some other things, and that's something you want to be aware of. But I don't think anyone's eating that much fruit that they're getting to that point. I know there's exceptions to every rule, but once again, I think people just like to demonize things quickly and really make simplifications of it and just say never have these things. But in general, I think fruit is a much better option to dessert, and it's something to appreciate. And I actually had a goal of just making that something I appreciate more, because fruit is so good. It's really easy to a lot of the time to transfer around, and those are my thoughts there.
What I love about fruit is that it can be a great something that's a great alternative to those sweet tooth cravings that you may be having, right? You know, even just thinking of, obviously pineapple to me is my favorite. That's probably the one thing where I think I could definitely, like Josh was saying, like just have a lot more calories worth of. But I was thinking specifically of watermelon. You know, we have some in the fridge here, and it's a beautiful summer day sitting outside, it's like I would have to have an insane amount of watermelon to just go overboard on calories, but it just, instead of having, you know, a bit like a bag of Skittles, just say as an example, like it's just going to offer so many more nutritional benefits, and it's going to be very hard to go over that calorie amount. But I would say if there's any trainer out there just saying these types of things, like just fire them. Like they should not be your trainer. Like there's unfortunately a lot of really, really bad advice. And like Josh was saying before, that's our biggest mission with this podcast, is to be able to help you understand, so there's no confusion when you go into the grocery store, when you go to eat, when you're in the gym, like you understand what's right and what's wrong. And this myth that a lot of people talk about, you know, fruit making you fat or these specific foods, like it's just not true at all. So you have to be careful who you listen to. And yeah, that was a great answer from Coach Josh as well.
All right, for our third and final question, I never sweat during my workout, but my workout partner is always drenched. Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah, this is a good question, because sweating is often another myth. Like a lot of people think that they have to sweat to see progress. Sometimes they think that there's two things associated with it, is that sweating will lead to fat loss. So you'll see people using the sauna, not realizing it's just really good health benefits, but they're trying to sweat out all the water and get lower weigh-ins and all this other stuff. So it's a fat loss thing, but also a workout thing. So there's people out there who will just chase the sweat. And here's the thing, it does feel good to sweat. You do feel fulfilled. You do feel satisfied. Do not get me wrong there. Like when I hit a cardio workout or a leg day and I see sweat coming down, I'm like, man, I feel fulfilled. Like that's 100% the truth. And I see that people feel that way, and that's where the myth mainly came from. But the true answer here, long story short, is that sweating during a workout is just your body's way of cooling itself down to maintain a safe internal temperature. That's really all it is. And each body is so unique. Like there's some people who will be drenched with the exact same workout. When I used to do in-person training, I had one client, the second she'd step in, she would start sweating. That's just her body's way of cooling herself down and keeping her safe, right? There's other people who just, they will not sweat at all, no matter what I would get them to do. And you have to be careful with myths, because oftentimes you can chase the wrong thing. So even like if Josh was like, hey, I want you to sweat during this workout, you just get me to jump up and down, do burpees, do jump squats, do all these crazy things where I'm burning calories, but I'm not getting progressive overload. I'm not strength training. I'm not doing the right movements to help me succeed. If you want a full in-depth video on this, I did post one on YouTube for a Mythbust Monday. So check it out. Our YouTube, some of you are aware of it, some of you are not, but every Monday we'll post a video. Every Wednesday will be a form video. It'll be linked down below. But yeah, that's my answer on sweating. And I'm curious if Josh has anything else to add on that one.
No, not really. I remember looking into this a long time ago, and some people just have overactive sweat glands. I know there's like surgeries you can get to actually reduce it, because some people sweat like probably a lot more than they'd like. So don't feel like you're getting a worse workout if someone's sweating more. Some people like to emulate sweat while they're working out and then wear like a full sweatsuit and whatnot. It's not something I appreciate. I know a lot of people with the pump covers, the thought is to really produce a lot of heat in there and really help you kind of get a pump and really get blood flow and circulation and sweat going to actually showcase some more of your muscle, or to feel more engagement in your muscle. More muscle is also often a safer muscle. So that can be another consideration, but I don't think it's really anything to put too much thought into. And like, we all sweat too. I know some people get way too in their head about being scared to sweat in the gym, and like, especially too if you have a great gym. And I know some people will be hesitant to work out before they do certain things, but if you look to certain gyms, some gyms actually have really great showers and can actually be kept quite clean, and something I like to utilize, because you can just sweat, get clean, boom, bring the stuff you need. And I find it's a really nice and easy system there. But that's our episode of Motivation Monday today. I want to thank you for tuning in. And once again, we don't want you struggling anymore. I want to help you get the results you deserve once and for all. If you're ready, and I hope you're ready, because if you keep saying tomorrow, tomorrow never comes, today is your chance to see the lasting change, fully guaranteed by me and Josh and Kyle. So once again, it's your success or your money back. Just hit us up in the DMs with the keyword fat loss. Make that investment, make that leap in yourself. And I look forward 90 days from now, when you're a whole new person, you won't even be able to recognize yourself from that transformation. We'll look back to this moment as that movie star moment where you're like, everything changed. I did it. I made that hard decision. So hit us up on Instagram. We look forward to helping you. Once again, keyword is fat loss to @colossusfit, COLOSSUSFIT. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.